Hey guys, McPhillips here from Highview Accounting, back with another update on the JobKeeper payment. We said we'll be back with more information when we had it at hand, and the ATO have released some information last night, more particularly in regards to the application process, which we have been waiting for a long time, and I know everyone has been. We've been inundated with phone calls, and we do thank you for your patience. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to work through this PDF form that we're going to send out to everyone, and this video will go through that step by step, so we make sure that we cover off each basis. We've broken this down for you into what we do know. So the ATO have released some information. We still are waiting for some more information, surprise, surprise. But what we'll do is we'll go through what we know now. We've broken it down into 3 steps. What you need to do now, what you need to do in a week's time, and what you need to do every month after. So to start with, let's look at the now. First of all, you need to register your interest. Now, a lot of people have already registered their interest online, and we do thank you for that. We need to keep doing that if you haven't already. This gets you on the list with the ATO to get more and more information as it comes to hand. So first step, register your interest. Step 2, make sure you're an eligible employer. How do we make sure we're an eligible employer? Well, a lot of the testing we already know. We work on the 30% because most of our businesses that are probably talking to at the moment do have a turnover below $1 billion annually. So your threshold is a 30% decrease in sales. We have had some information in regards to the test period, which is great. So we now know the test period, which we weren't sure about, doesn't depend on your BAS statement. So originally, based on the legislation, we thought that if you reported quarterly, you would have to compare your quarter of April to June or your quarter of July to September. The ATO have released information to say that it doesn't matter whether you report quarterly or monthly, the test periods for the first fortnight, with the first fortnight being the 30th of March to the 12th of April, the test periods are 3 different periods that you can look at. The first one, we look at your actual turnover for March 2020 versus your actual turnover for March 2019. If you have seen a 30% decrease between the 2020 figures and the 2019 figures, then you may be eligible for the JobKeeper program. Another different test period is your projected figures for April 2020 versus your actual figures for April 2019. So this is looking at your projected for 2020 in April and comparing that to your 19. Again, if there's a 30% decrease or you believe there's going to be a 30% decrease, then you'll likely be eligible for the JobKeeper program. The other option is looking at the April to June quarter. If you believe your April to June quarter is going to be in 2020 is going to be less than your April to June quarter in 2019 by that 30% margin or more, then effectively you also will be eligible. So as I said, once again, it doesn't depend on your BAS period. However, the ATO have said that you can use your BAS period if you feel that that's easier based on your reporting requirements. So what do we know? We know the ATO are probably going to line those figures up. So it doesn't mean you can manipulate your figures in 1 month. We need to actually genuinely show that you have had a 30% or are likely to have a 30% decrease in your turnover. So now that we know our test periods, we can tick off whether your business is an eligible employer. So first thing, register your interest. Second thing, tick off that we're an eligible employer. Third step, we're on to the third step, which is let's look at our eligible employees. So our eligible employees, we've gone through these tests a little bit before as well, is someone that's currently employed. Whether they've been stood down and rehired, they still tick that box if they were employed at the 1st of March. It covers off full-time and part-time employees. It also covers off casual employees, but only if they've been working regularly for the last year. So they have to have been working for 12 months regularly since dating back from the 1st of March 2020 to the 1st of March 2019. So that year, effectively, they have to be there. They have to be over 16 years of age, and they have to be an Australian citizen or a permanent visa holder. And they can't be receiving JobKeeper from 2 employers. So obviously they can only get it from 1. If you have employees that meet that criteria, you can nominate them to receive the JobKeeper program. So the next step, we've ticked off we've got eligible employees, we've ticked off we're an eligible employer, and we've ticked off that we've registered. We then need to look at what we have to do with our employees. Now, the employees have to agree to being on the program. So there is a form that will be in the links that you will have to get your employees to sign off to say, yes, I meet the criteria, and yes, I want to receive the JobKeeper program from you being the business. So then obviously if they're working at 2 different businesses, they can effectively choose. Now, one quick note that I do have information on is if they are a casual employee and they have a part-time position somewhere else, they can't pick and choose. If they're casual employees at 2 different jobs, they can choose the employer that they want to use for the JobKeeper program, whereas if they're a casual at one job and they're part-time or permanent part-time at another job, they must use the permanent part-time job for the JobKeeper program. All right. So once they have signed off on that form, we now know that we've got eligible employees and we've nominated them and they've said, yes, we want to be nominated and we want to receive that from you. So we know who our eligible and nominated employees are. What's the next step from there? The next step from there is to meet the wage requirements. So the wage requirements are making sure that you have paid them $750 per week or $1,500 per fortnight gross before tax for the periods that you're going to be claiming the JobKeeper program. Now, we know that the first fortnight was from the 30th of March to the 12th of April, the second fortnight being from the 13th of April to the 26th of April. So that forms the first month that you would be possibly entitled to being reimbursed. So what do we have to do? Now, the first period or the first fortnight has already ended. That ended on Easter Saturday or Sunday, whichever date the 12th was. So it's very hard to go and pay them because that date's already passed. What the ATO have allowed is they have said that they will look at the 2 fortnights for this particular instance together. So as long as an eligible employee has received $3,000 within the 2 fortnights, which end on the 26th of April, then they would be classified as an eligible employee and you will be reimbursed provided they tick all the boxes that we've already gone through. So from then after though, you have to make the minimum $1,500 per fortnight or $750 per week. So making sure we meet those wage requirements. There is a little bit more to that, which we'll talk a bit further about, but making sure you meet those wage requirements for people that may be earning under. So if someone's earning $500 a week for their genuine earnings, effectively you will have to top them up to be receiving at least $750 a week. The top-up payment doesn't incur super, so you only have to pay super on the amount that they're actually working. But anything above that doesn't incur super, but you will at least have to top them up. There will be some more information coming on that, and your bookkeeping programs will help out with that as well. We're also here to help in that regard. So we've ticked off. We've registered our interest. We've classified that we're an eligible employer. We've figured out our eligible employees. We've nominated our eligible employees, and our eligible employees have ticked off that they want to receive it. We've then gone on and we've made our payments. What's next? So from next Monday, the 20th of April, the ATO will allow you to log into a business portal, and I'll touch on a business portal a bit later, to prepare an online application form. At this stage, it might be some generic details. The 3 key things that they're asking for on top of that is to provide bank details for where you want the money to be paid into, the reimbursement to be paid into, and to estimate the amount of eligible employees you believe you'll have in the first fortnight and the second fortnight. That's all that we need to do from now. So now we move on to what we have to do after the 4th of May 2020. So a couple of weeks away. It's the end of that first couple of fortnight period and the ability to get your first payment. What do we need to do? We have to apply for the JobKeeper payment once again through an online form through the ATO business portal. Again, I'll touch on the business portal at the end of the video because that's going to be a very key important bit of this whole process, and we'll touch on that shortly. We then need to ensure that we've paid each eligible employee that $1,500 per fortnight. So talking about that wage requirement that we spoke about in the now just a little bit earlier on. After that, in the application, we will have on the online business portal, there will be all of your employee details if you automatically lodge through Single Touch Payroll. If you're using Single Touch Payroll, this information will be fed into the business portal for you to tick off all the eligible employees that you want to claim the JobKeeper payment for. If you don't use Single Touch Payroll, this process, unfortunately, is going to be a fairly manual process. You will be required to input all of your employees' details, the pays, etc., and tick off the ones that you believe are eligible, and then process that with the ATO. Part of this process as well is you will have to advise the ATO of your turnover of April, now that the April month is finished, and then also projected turnover for the month of May. Once we've ticked off that by notifying them the employees that are eligible, plus we've notified them of our turnover, we can then submit the application or submit the form, and then the ATO will likely send an SMS or an email to say, yes, we have received it, and payment will follow after that. How long after that? We're still unsure whether there's going to be a processing time or whether it's going to be fairly well immediately. I dare say there'll be a little bit of a processing time, but we'll wait to see about that. So that's the first payment period. So now, what do we have to do monthly? There is a requirement every month within 7 days after the month end, that we have to log back into this ATO business portal. Again, I'll touch on that shortly, and report our figures once again. Again, similar process to the first one. We need to tick off our employees that are eligible. Again, if you're on single touch payroll, fairly easy process. If you're not on single touch payroll, fairly manual process. So I probably recommend getting on single touch payroll if you're not already. Then we need to continue to say that you intend to continue to receive the JobKeeper payments, I should say. After that, report our current turnover. If this is the next month being the end of May, or we're lodging this in June effectively, the first week of June, then effectively we'll have to let them know what our month of May's turnover was and what we project our month of June's to be. So once we've done our wage declarations, our turnover declarations, we can then tick the box to lodge, and it'll be a similar process. The ATO will process it and the amounts will be refunded. So that's basically what we know now about the procedure and the process that we have to do. As I said earlier, there is the business portal. The business portal is a portal for you to be able to access your online ATO, similar to what we can receive, but it's a little bit different to our tax agent portal. The business portal, to get access to this, the associate of the business needs to register what's called a Gov ID. Now, the Gov ID identifies them based on their license, their Medicare card, their passport, whatever it may be, to get their identification strength strong enough to access their ATO file. You can then log into the business portal through what's called Authorization Manager, and I'm probably going on about this a bit too much, but we do feel that this is very important, one, to be able to access a JobKeeper payments, but also to be able to see your live ATO accounts, online payment plans if we need that process, that structure. You can also see your BAS returns. You can lodge your BAS statements if you want. So it is a great tool to have as a business owner. Now, obviously, if there's going to be some clients that may not be confident in lodging these applications themselves, the tax agent, ourselves, Highview, can help you lodge these and these monthly requirements. Now, we haven't received full confirmation as to the procedure. It may be slightly different, but similar reporting requirements. It may be slightly different because it is a lodgement process for us. We will still need to get you to sign off. We'll still need information from you, being the employer and the business. So there will be a requirement. Now, obviously, within the 7-day time frame, if we've got a lot of people we're doing this for, it's going to be probably very tough in those 7 days. So we do ask you to be a bit patient with us, but we will come back to those people who are wanting us to assist with that. Obviously, being a lodgement process, there's a fair bit of work involved. There will be a fee for the service. We haven't worked out what that would likely be just yet, because we haven't really worked out what the procedure actually is. So that'll be dependent on the time it takes to do and what we actually have to physically do. So we will touch base about that, and we will probably go out to clients and ask them for a bit of feedback if they want us to do them, so that we can add you to a list to ensure we don't miss anyone when we're doing this. So just touching base, this PDF document that should be accompanying this video, at the very last page, there is some key resources. These buttons here, there's 3 buttons here that you can click on that direct you to particular areas. The first one being register your interest, which a lot of people have probably already done. The next one being to access the employee notification notice. So once you've established that you're an eligible employer and you've worked out you've got some eligible employees, you need the employees to sign off on that. So if you click that link, it will take you to the PDF document that the ATO has set out for that. The third one is instructions, or the videos from the ATO, how to set up a business portal and get access to your MyGov ID. So I do recommend you strongly have a look at that and basically try and work through that process. So hopefully that sums up a little bit about what's in this content for us. I haven't really touched on sole traders, trusts, or businesses or companies, I should say, where you may not be, or you're a business owner, but you may not be receiving a wage as such. That's because we still haven't got clarification in regards to that. So what I say to you guys is sit tight. There is something coming. There's going to be some additional tests that we know the ATO are working on at the moment. There's going to be some potential requirements that we'll have to log on at least monthly. We do know that for a fact, but until we know the full facts, I don't really want to come and tell you those, because I may be wrong. Again, still a fair bit of information to be released in regards to what we need to do now and what we need to do in the next sort of few months in regards to this. The ATO are releasing a bit more information when they work it out as well. So we will keep you in the loop, but we just wanted to update you on what we know currently with the ATO release yesterday. So I'll leave it at that, guys. I hope this makes a bit more sense. Any issues, contact your Highview accountants. We'll try and help you as best as possible. Once again, obviously, a fair bit of volume coming in, so we will try and do our best that we possibly can.